Hey guys, what's going on? I wanted to do a quick update on some of the stuff that's been going on in my house here. I needed a break from big props for a little, just half a second, because when you think big, you start to paint big, you start to do big, and you kind of lose detail. So I decided to take a day where I would just bring it back down to small and basic. And one of the things I do with that is figures. And now I don't collect action figures anymore. I did when I was younger. I was huge into it. Um, and then I just completely got out of it. I guess I just kind of like just blew my mind on it and was done with it. And I hadn't touched figures for a long time. And then I picked up a figure for a costume that I was doing, and as I was doing costumes, I found that these really new high-end figures like NECA figures and things like that made for great three-dimensional references for doing costumes. So I started picking up figures of costumes that I had, or figures that would lend themselves to costumes that I had. For example, if you follow me on the Knights of Samaria, you know that I've done an Ash versus the Evil Dead costume. So having a NECA Ash was super helpful. You guys have seen also my Army of Darkness Ash. So having an Army of Darkness Ash was not only helpful for rounding out some of the details, but doubling him as a mini Ash so that I could have like the little guys attacking me. So that was all super useful. But I've decided then I didn't want to display them the way they were. I thought, man, as you start to look at figures online and things like that, you think, man, I really want to do something like custom. And how do I get into custom displays for figures? And something as simple as things like if you have I'm a Skeletor guy, so if you're a Masters of the Universe guy, these are like the new ones that are out, but they're like a throwback to what we had when we were kids, my era in the 80s. And there's not a lot to it. It's very simple, very basic colors. There's some kind of elegance and nostalgia to that. But in 2000, they decided to kind of redo that. And so I picked up that one too. And you can see there's so much more detail. Now, I have gone in and started repainting this. I was always into repainting my figures, even when I didn't know what I was doing. And it's kind of made me aware of the fact that um, with all my prop building skills, why not just start doing some custom figure paint and stuff like that? So I very much enjoy the customizing, this is a basic black wash just to bring out some of the muscles and stuff. But I thought to myself, well, why can't I do really good custom jobs and then take some cool photos of my figures? I've seen a lot of people do that. And that's all about the backgrounds. And then I thought, well, I don't really have any backgrounds. And I looked into purchasing some, and they were really expensive. And I thought to myself, that's not really gonna, I don't really want to spend money on it. I just kind of want to do it and make it cool. So how can I do that? So I looked into custom terrain, and I thought, after looking at all the cost of doing that, for $6 you can get yourself some molds and start making your own. So what I did was I got myself some silicone patterns. There you can see it, and some cake ones, bricks, different things like that. It was $6 on Amazon to get all of that, and I got some foam clay, put it over a sheet of EVA foam like this, and started making custom terrain. Now, this is painted in the green of a style of Castle Grayskull. And I used foam clay, not foam, because it retains floppiness. This is on 5mm EVA right now with foam clay over it. And as you can see, it paints up really nice and looks really good. If you want to display some other custom things, like a custom Castle Grayskull. And you can see little mini He-Man on mini Eternia here. And that's one style of custom Castle Grayskull that I've done. And so, you just do something like that, and it just displays nicer, and it looks nicer. And I thought, this is really cool. But when you look at the scale, for a figure, against something like maybe a Skeletor, it has a nice size to it, has a nice look to it. But as you start to look at it as a background, you start to realize you're going to need a lot more of this. And this can get, Castle Grayskull is supposed to be like huge. So I was kind of like, well, this is cool, and I could use this for footing and custom things like that. And it would be really, really easy to just take that template with foam clay and just bang out a really nice looking display. I wanted something bigger. I wanted something more large scale, and I didn't want to carve it by hand. Yaya Fabrics got into EVA foam recently with Joanne Fabrics. And so instead of just her cosplay fabric, she's got into cosplay EVA foam. One of the things that she has is pre-laser cut EVA foam, and it comes in about, I think, 5 millimeters. And she has, hexagon and things like that. And one of the ones is called dragon skin. So I picked up a sheet 18 by 24 dragon skin and gave it a very similar, what I call the motu paint job. That it's the exact same philosophy behind painting regular stone, just in shades of green. And so, done on a little bit of a larger scale, this is, the foam shape is what the foam looks like when you buy it. And then if I really zoom in here, you can kind of see some of the laser etching in the grooves you can see in there. And then I just go in and I do the motu coloring. And what this does create is it creates a really nice battleground. So you can lay this down and build a huge diorama on it, build some rock structures. And the cool thing is, being mostly foam, it has a flexibility to it. So you could create some uneven terrain if you wanted underneath it using sand or different things like that. And then you can add different rock structures, do your photo shoots, and then change those rock structures and make it look like a much bigger environment than it is. This is also really cool if you're building something for your kids, like a play mat for them to play with their figures on. You want it to look a little bit more realistic, like we tried to do when we were kids. You go over to your grandma's house and she had the shag green carpeting and you're like, oh, grass battle, and you get your knights out and you play with that. But we're kind of lucky that if you have kids, we can kind of create custom battlegrounds that were not accessible to us when we were kids, but we would have killed for it. So this is a really cool thing to display a mass collection on. If you bought a big Castle Grayskull, you could put it on this. You could do this in any color. It doesn't have to be the Grayskull green. You can do it in gray or, sand or things like that. But this really nice cobblestone look makes for a really nice floor or for a really nice background if you're going to shoot against it. So, you get your Skeletor out and he's going to stand next. And if I just take over the entire camera here, already you have a nice background, You insidious boob, and it just looks really nice. It photographs nice. And I did a couple tests with a couple different figures, even non-Motu related stuff. I did some Power Rangers and stuff like that. And it photographs really cool. So I do recommend picking these up and using them. These are not cheap, but considering the details already done for you, it's not bad. And you can use coupons, which makes it simple. But I'm a big fan of this. But if you were interested in doing something, for example, if you wanted to make a tower, you pick up like a $5, bin, or this was, I don't even know what this was $2.50, a styrofoam cooler, and, you cover it in foam clay or Play-Doh or whatever, and then you take something like this guy, or one of the cake foam ones, and you just sort of press it across the whole thing and make that terrain pattern. Imagine this whole thing covered in that texture. It makes it like a nice tower. So it's really simple. It's really easy to do. And painting, there's 900 million tutorials on how to paint rocks. You just work dark to light, thicker to thinner amounts. So you start with your black, and then you do like a very hefty gray. Doesn't have to cover everything, but you get a lot of it. Then you start to dry brush progressively whiter layers. You add some color in there if you want, and then you do a wash to finish it with like a black or a brown if it's dirty or whatever. You want to add some colors like greens and purples and whatnot. But like painting rock is not complicated. It's just come up with a technique. I'm a big fan of doing the deep colors bottom up and then doing the lighter colors top down. It just kind of works for me. But there's certainly a million ways to do it. But even something simple as, using that same technique to do different kinds of custom paint. So like this Castle Grayskull for He-Man is much more vibrant and has the red eyes and the very, very bright gold door, versus this one for Skeletor, which has a lot more gold in the paint and some oxidation in there to make it more dusty, a little older. The eyes are black. The door has a much danker finish on it compared to this vibrant door. It actually ended up with a lot more detail. I did enjoy that. But, doing custom paint on these little mini Eternia castles, Castle Grayskulls, kind of let me develop the kind of technique I was going to use making the terrain. And so, again, this was just a test piece. I just took a little bit of EVA foam that I had, the foam clay, spread it out over it, and stamped the crap out of it. And I made it a little uneven, but, it photographs well, it looks good. You can display your figures on it, and because it has some sponginess to it, it might be hard to stand the figures on. But again, if you have kids or something, it will hold up a little bit. But if it really bugs you, you can coat it with a coating of clear Plasti Dip afterwards. But yeah, these things really can make figures like a big difference, you know? So I highly recommend picking up the dragon skin and giving it a shot, maybe doing it in grays or things like that, you know, to make like a floor, and then building terrain and action playsets on top of that. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot more fun than I thought it would be, and it does make you want to film, you know, action figures. So if you guys are into that, it's a good way to kind of take a break from cosplay stuff, focus on a small scale, and because it's a smaller world, with less time you're building more, and it can kind of feel like you're completing something. Because when you're building something as big as a costume, like I'm doing with like Skeletor, for example, it really takes it out of you that you keep going and you keep doing these small details, and it's like, I'm almost done with the shoulder, and you just are like, I'm never gonna finish this thing. Versus going in, taking one of these little $5 Castle Grayskulls, completely repainting it, and be like, oh, I just did a whole castle, I'm done. It gives you a nice sense of done, so that you can move on, and then when you return to that project with a little bit more life. So that's just something really quick I wanted to show you guys, just a quick 10-minute video on that. The figure here, this superposable Skeletor, is called the Motu Masters of the Universe Origins line. It's sort of like a revitalization of the retro style. This is available exclusively at Walmart, I think, until 2021, and then everyone will start carrying them. This particular figure is in the process of being redone. This is what is referred to as the 200X or the 2000X version by, I believe it was Four Horsemen did this. And these are hard to come by now, but they are very, very nice figures, and hopefully I'm going to turn this into a Keldor, because I don't have a Keldor. And that was the series that launched it. The Eternia minis are the same thing. You buy these at the Walmart for now. The dragon skin is available, as far as I know, only at Joann's Fabrics, but you can buy it online at Joann's, and it's called Dragon Skin EVA. And it comes in sheets of what looks to be 18 by 24. And then these silicone templates, I just got off Amazon. I just searched silicone rock form, and they just popped up, and they're super cheap. They're about 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters, and they're very flexible, so you can use it with clay really easy. With EVA foam or the foam clay, a little bit of a careful with that, because it's sticky, and nothing sticks to silicone, but because it's got so much moisture in it, it will stick into the mold, so a quick little freeze will help with that, or not pressing so heavy. But you can also get the solid plastic cake ones. Those respond better to the foam, I noticed. So that's all cool stuff that you can do. So yeah, when you get stuck and you get burnt out on the big stuff, sometimes it's nice to scale it down and do some toys. And then if you don't collect toys, sell them off cheap to somebody who can't do it, and, you know, complete their collection. Speaking of toys, at some point we are going to be painting this BB-8 I got at Goodwill. It works, which is pretty cool. I didn't actually expect to find a working one, so I'm pretty happy about that. It didn't come with its antenna like it's supposed to, but it came with a lot of its, this is the Jack specific one, so it does have a little blue lighter on the side. So it'll make for an interesting BB-8 display in my Star Wars corner for my movie room that I'm doing with my wife. We're going to have a nice little, like, a Harry Potter corner, and we're going to have a Star Wars corner and a bunch of posters in between and stuff. And there's going to be a lot of props. So having a life-size Yoda, almost life-size BB-8. It's like a 1/2 scale, but a little BB-8 on a table, you know, Vader. It's going to be pretty cool, and I'm kind of pumped to have one. So we got to weather this up really heavily. Mostly the paint's fine the way it is. So that'll be the next one with that. So again, toys are fun, and repainting toys are fun, and it can be a nice break in your day. So thanks for checking it out. I do have some Evil Dead stuff that I'd really love to show off right now, but I can't. It's exclusively on the knightsofsamaria.com right now, and Knights of Samaria, the Facebook page. So if you're interested, please go over there and check that stuff out now. But I promise you there is some very cool stuff coming down. There's some more ghost stuff coming out on this channel. And I will be showing off around Halloween some of my Evil Dead greatest hits that are over at Knights of Samaria, and you can check that stuff out. Also, if you're super into Knights of Samaria stuff, you're into what we do, then you already know about Brett's Groovy Chainsaw's YouTube channel. But if you're an Evil Dead fan, and you're a fan of all things Evil Dead, you're a fan of accuracy, and you're interested in hearing about it from a guy with some personality, I strongly recommend checking out my brother's page. It's Brett's Groovy Chainsaws. It's honestly one of the most entertaining YouTubes by a guy who's not all about himself on YouTube. He just kind of goes on, makes videos, and leaves them out there. He's not going to ask you to do Patreon. He's not going to ask you to donate. He's not going to ask you to pay his bills. He's just going to give you free content, and he's going to show you a lot of detail. He's going to show you a lot of walkthrough, how you can do your own stuff. He's currently resculpting the Evil Dead 2 Necronomicon from Trick or Treat Studios, which I possess as well. And he's completely redone the cover in foam clay right over its existing cover, and it's fucking glorious. And if you're not checking that out, you should be. So I recommend checking out Brett's Groovy Chainsaws for that. For all other things Evil Dead, check out Knights of Samaria and thenightsofsamaria.com for archives and references, which is a subsidiary portion of the bookofthedead.ws page, which is, of course, very famous, because the guy who owns that is the guy who built the saws for the show, Rob. So, Rob, thank you for hosting that. And then I promise Skeletor will get done at some point. I'm going to get it done. I recently did a test photo shoot with the armor and the pauldrons and everything as Keldor, 1987 Keldor, and I put those up on my Instagram at AJB3Art, so check that out there. I'll probably get them up to my DeviantArt at some point, but not right now. I misspelled some things, so I got to go in and rechange how I spelled Evil Lynn's name. I put two N's in there, so somebody gave me shit about that. But yeah, I'm going to go upstairs, have dinner, shut it down for the night, but I want to do a quick video and kind of show everybody what's occupying my brain at the moment. So thanks a lot, and keep checking me out for more props, more costumes, apparently more toys, and who knows what else.